Which is better for glacial gold, a boulder field or a gravel bar? We're gonna find out today. Welcome back to the Glacial Gold Hunter, where we go all over Minnesota and Wisconsin and look for glacial gold. Now the reason we call it glacial gold is because the glaciers brought it here from Canada. It's not big, but it's here. Now let me kind of explain the area that we're looking at today. Now I was here the other day and I did a live, and I had some viewers telling me, oh, you should look in those boulder fields. Well, I don't typically have the best luck in boulder fields, but we're gonna test that today. Now in this part of the river, there's kind of a straight shot. The water's pretty shallow, but there's this big boulder field. So in high water, this is just getting scraped and dragging all the sediment through, but it's leaving the boulders behind. It's leaving heavy material behind. So in theory, this boulder field would act like a sluice box, trapping heavy pieces of gold. Now if we come a little bit farther down, we see it kind of turns into a gravel bar here. And this is where I was digging the other day. I know there's good gold in here because I found it. Now with this glacial gold, because it's so small, I feel like in these boulder fields, the water's just rushing so fast that the gold doesn't really drop out. It just flows right through there. So when I dig in these boulder fields, for one, it's really hard digging. And two, I just don't find a lot there because I think it's all just been blown through. But I'm gonna try a little harder, dig a little deeper and see really what's there. And I'm gonna compare it to what we find in the gravel to find out what's best, boulder fields or gravel bars. Now I'm not really sure the best place to start, but I figure the gold's gonna drop out towards the lead edge of the gravel bar or the boulder field if it's gonna drop out. So I'm gonna come up towards the lead edge and maybe dig right about there. Wow, look at how red that is. It's a big old piece of rhyolite. Believe it or not, this is the same thing as granite, but granite cools deep inside the earth at a slower rate, so the crystals have time to grow. Rhyolite is extruded onto the surface, and it cools so rapidly the crystals don't have time to form. Same material, different texture. I feel like I'm being watched.
Voice key incorrect.
Wait a second. What are you doing?
Whoa! Look at that! This is really cool. You can see this is a piece of granite, a granular igneous rock there. Lots of quartz, feldspar, and hornblende. And then cutting through right here, that's a pegmatite. It's a mixture of quartz and feldspar. So this rock fractured and it was injected with these fluids where this quartz pegmatite vein formed. And then right here, you can see it's truncated, it's cut off, but it starts again here. So this is a micro fault. The whole rock shifted down, so the vein's going here and then here. So I can tell that that's a little fault there. Sure cool to look at. Every rock tells a story. Oh, big old piece of gabbro. It's like a little plastic creamer cup way down there. How does garbage get that deep? Guess that does mean that the rocks are all turning over, which is a good sign if I'm looking for gold. Because the gold should settle deep too if that's happening. And yes, I'm throwing it away. Ow! I hit the clay. I hit the till. That might be a good sign. That is one full bucket.
There are moments in time as a strongman where the world seems to stop because you're presented with a strength challenge that you've heard about your entire life. Yep. Let's go, Brian. Come on. Come on.
Squeeze, Brian,
keep it
squeeze.
going. Keep it going.
Come on,
Keep it
get
going.
on 3
Keep it
feet,
going.
Brian. Let's go. Get here, Brian.
Let's go. Let's go.
Get it, Brian. Come on, get it.
Get it. Come on.
Get over, Brian. You good? Yes.
So I dug all around those boulders, just kept digging down, 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 until I actually found the hill, the till. Now we're gonna pan it out and see what we got. Now I'm just gonna be speed panning today, so I'm gonna take this pan it down until I see the black sand, and then pile more dirt on top. Right. So there's the last of it right there. That whole bucket panned down into this one pan. There's a lot of black sand in here. You see all the black sand on the ridge, you're already seeing it, so I gotta go kind of slow so I don't wash out all the gold. I don't put jet dry in my pans when I'm in the field because I figure the fish aren't gonna want jet dry in their water. So I don't pan it down all the way. I leave some leeway. That jet dry keeps the gold from floating away. Helps it sink to the bottom of the pan. So I'd probably do a little bit better if I used it, but I don't want the fish to drink it. All right, let's see if there's anything to see. Any big nuggets or not. Tapping it helps all the heavies to kind of hop up to the top edge. I don't remember how that works. Somebody explained it once, but I don't remember. I just know it works. And there's some gold. No big nuggets. Not a lot of gold. Very little gold. That was a lot of work for a little bit of gold. So there was gold there. Little tiny pieces. But not very many. There's my finger for scale. So I dug through a whole bunch of rocks pretty deep in and around all these big boulders and cobbles. And it seems like when I do that, the soil I find, or the sediment I find around the rocks is very fine. It's like silty. It's not like hard packed gravels. I don't know why. But that's kind of a representation of what I usually find there. I really don't find much gold in these boulder fields. And maybe I'm doing it wrong. But that's been my experience. Now I did hit the till on the last few scoops, so I'm gonna take a few test pans and see if that's a good area, because right where that clayey till is, that can be a good spot for gold to deposit. The gold will stick to the clay and it can't get any lower down, so I'm gonna take a few test pans to see what's in there. But otherwise, I'm gonna try a different spot in this boulder field to really test this. And if that doesn't pan out, I'm gonna go back to the gravels. So I dug through a whole bunch of rocks, pretty deep there. Well, there are 2 little specks down there, but it's so hard digging, I don't think that's worth it. So I'm gonna try another spot. So I'm gonna try right here. And this is kind of the end of the boulder field, but it kind of drops down in elevation, and then on this side, there's this big pool. So what I'm thinking is as the water's blasting across this boulder field, it's just carrying the gold along with it. But once it hits here, where there's this transition point, this area is like a low pressure zone. So maybe right in here, it's where the gold is like dropping out of the water and into the boulder field. Maybe. So I'm gonna dig here. I'm just guessing. Every place I dig, I learn a little bit more, but the only way to figure it out is to dig. Look at this, broken glass. You know what that means?
Well, I think it just means. Actually, I don't know what it means.
See this one? All those little rectangular prisms in there, that's feldspar. So these are crystals floating around in magma, and then it crystallized and cooled. The red crystals there, that was the hardened, that's the feldspar. And the gray stuff, that was the liquid. And it all crystallized together. They call those phenocrysts. Every rock tells a story. Here's another one. Look at that thing in this rock. This is a piece of basalt. So that was lava that was extruded onto the Earth's surface, and it's full of bubbles. And this was one of those bubbles that started rising to the top of the lava flow. But before it got there, it got crystallized, it hardened and cooled and got trapped there. So that was a bubble, and then later on, minerals flowed through it and precipitated and turned into an agate. We call that an amygdala. Another cool story. Now around these boulders, it looks a lot better to me. There's like more of a mixture of gravel and sand. It's not that really fine silt. Just looks like better material. And a little piece of plastic. How does junk get so far down into the dirt? What's a Coors? So I found multiple pieces of glass in there. And usually where I find good gold, I also find pieces of broken glass. I think it's just a sign that everything's been mixed up and sorted. Glass doesn't attract gold or anything. It just might mean there's a right depositional environment for gold. It might be a total coincidence. Here's the next bucket from the transition point of that boulder field. And this material looks a lot better. I'm gonna turn on a little motivation while I pan here.
Two together. Here's my smooth water mini sluice right there. And here's the 3-inch BDR sluice.
So here's that last of that bucket, all panned down into one pan. It's a good amount of black sand again. All right, let's toss her back. And we did quite a bit better on that one. So that bucket yielded a lot better result. There's some bigger pieces and a lot more little pieces. There's some stragglers over there too. Look at that honker right there. So we did a lot better digging here at this transition point of the boulder field than we did up there directly in the boulder field. But now we got to test the gravel, which is better. So I'm going to scoot just a little bit offside here. And here's still this transition point. But here there's no boulders. It's all cobbles. Cobbles and gravel. So I'm going to dig, fill up a bucket there, pan it down, and see what the difference is. easier digging here. All right, so that bucket's full, and that took like a third of the time to fill instead of digging through all those boulders. Well, there's still fairly big pieces in there, so it's not like it's sandy gravel. It's cobbles and gravel. Now, I know there's different kinds of cobbles, but a geologic cobble has a specific definition. A cobble is between 64 and 256 millimeters. And in freedom units, that's anywhere from about 2.5 inches to 10 inches. So there's a cobble. And this would be a boulder.
The boulder feels conflicted.
A baby boulder.
The boulder's over his conflicted feelings.
Ah. All right, let's get this bucket panned down. All right, so here's the last of that one. Ooh. Yep, that's our best pan so far. So that is a nice number of specks. Respectable flour gold pieces. Yeah. So that kind of confirms my past experience. I just don't find as much in the boulders for whatever reason. I find more in gravel and cobble mixes. Now, maybe I'm doing it wrong, I don't know. I feel like flour gold hunting is a little bit different than finding bigger gold in the mountains or California or whatnot. I don't know, you can tell me what you think. But as for now, I'm gonna take another bucket out of that gravel, because that was a good pan. But first, I think it's time for some refreshments. What? It's Welch's.
Welch's grape juice is 100% juice. No wonder it tastes so good.
Here's 2 more buckets full. Let's pan these down. There was a giant piece of glass in that one. What a fun day. It just so happens to be Groundhog's Day. If I had to relive this day over and over again, that'd be pretty good.
Hey, Phil. That's right, woodchuck chuckers. It's Groundhog Day. Get up and check that hog out there. Yeah!
So I panned both buckets down back to back. It's all in here. Might have been a little too much. There's a lot of black sand in there. But hopefully that means there's a lot of gold in there too. All right, time to see. 2 buckets back to back. And still gold. Probably not twice as much as the last pan though. Let me show you. I expected more, but I'll take that. Still a respectable amount of glacial gold. So I'll add that to my concentrate pail. We'll take this home and tally it all up. But first, I'm not gonna leave a big ugly tailings pile like this around, am I?
Absolutely not.
Now it looks like nobody's been here. So we're back at headquarters and we're gonna classify and run our sample, get it all cleaned up. And people get all mad at me if I don't show the glass at the end. See, I take it out of the crick. There's all my garbage and glass. To classify it, I'm just gonna use a kitchen strainer. It's nothing fancy about it, but it seems to work pretty well. If it's all the same size, it's a lot easier to separate the gold out. All right, so now we got our extra fines and our bigs. I'm pretty sure there's not gonna be anything in there, but I'm gonna pan it out just to make sure we're not missing any nuggets. There were no nuggets, but this is where all the gold is gonna be. So to clean that up, I got my Flour Gold Wizard cleanup sluice all set up, ready to go. We're gonna run that quick. And I can see the gold captured mostly in zone 1 and down into zone 3. I don't see any gold beyond that. It captures the gold pretty well. So now that it's run through the cleanup sluice, I just pan this a little bit down to reveal the gold. Gosh, I could have sworn we had more than that. But still some nice pieces of gold. Not even enough to register. Well, we never find a lot at that creek, but we always have a fun time going there. And we got to learn a little bit more about where the gold deposits, at least in that creek. There wasn't even enough to register on the scale, but still added a few specks to the vial. Thank you guys for watching. Come on back for the next one. Bye-bye.